After we vacuum the floor, the next issue is which type of filler should we use? If you're doing a red oak floor, then obviously you use a red oak filler. Same thing with the white oak floor. You use a white oak filler. Now this is a pine, and there's really not a perfect color that matches pine. They're all a little bit off, but this one that we're using today is called Ash Maple Pine. It's designed for lighter color floors. When it dries and you put a clear filler on it, it looks okay. I mean, it really makes the thin, small lines and holes and defects of that nature disappear very well. And this is really one of the best options that you have available. Now on this particular floor, the client wants a light reddish stain on it. So it's going to work fantastic because these fillers are designed to take a stain excellently. You just need to be sure to let them dry overnight so they're fully dry, and they'll take a stain. So let's get started. The only tool I'm going to need for this is a flat trowel. This is what I'm going to do, what we call a spot filler. Now, there are two different ways. You can do, they call this a trowelable wood filler because you can take it and literally trowel it just like this and cover 100% of the floor. It's very effective, but the problem is it's really kind of wasteful because you're covering all of this surface area with finish, which you're just going to sand off with the next coat. So what I prefer to do instead is a spot filler. Spot filler is going to be very similar, but not as thorough. So I'm going to take each defect that I see, like this inbutt there, and this line right here, and fill them individually, just like that. If I don't like that knot, I'll cover that one. There's a hole. There's a hole. Possible check. Get a little more filler. Here's what I don't like. Feel that. I'm gonna go ahead and get this inbutt and also that adjacent line. And when you're filling these, always, I like to put a glob there. Then you can quickly pull it down. And then you come across like that to be sure it gets it down into those cracks. And then you just go ahead and quickly run over the whole floor, getting it to your satisfaction, and let that dry overnight. Then you can come back and do your top cut with the 80 grit and clean off any excess, and it'll look really smooth and beautiful, and you'll be ready for a stain. Now just bear in mind that this is a reclaimed floor. So some clients don't mind character. They don't mind knots and cracks and checks and things of that nature. They don't want you to fill them up. Some clients do. That's why you should always have a conversation with your client about what their expectations are. If you've got a client that wants a really smooth, seamless floor, very uniform, with no lines or cracks or defects of any sort, you need to do a very thorough trowelable wood filler. And some clients don't care. They're like, no, I love all that character. Leave it in there. Here's another little spot I want to show you along this edge where we put this strip in, and you can see that's a hole from the finish nailer. So I always like to fill up any of those recent holes left over from the installation. And like I say, pull back across that line just to be sure it gets down in there good. And this process actually moves very quickly. To do this whole room, probably take me 20 minutes, maybe 30. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish that up and show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, so it took me 32 minutes to do this whole bedroom, which is probably 160 square feet, something like that. You can see I got all the holes, any gaps, any in butts, any checks, anything I didn't like or thought might be a problem. Now bear in mind, this client was very picky. He was specific. He said he didn't want any cracks at all. So I was very careful to get 100% of anything that you could possibly see or might be a problem later. I also found a couple squeaky corners and in butts that weren't as tight as I thought they should be. So I had my finish nailer handy and I just shot a few extra nails, tighten up those squeaks, and I filled those holes. And this is it. We're gonna let this dry and then we'll go ahead and edge it out with 50 grit and then run over it again with the 80 grit Hummel. And it should be smooth as, and well, I was gonna say smooth as a baby's ass, but I don't know how smooth a baby's ass is. Let's just say it's gonna look really nice.